The White House asked for help. I have to put it in the video because I tried to put it in the comments, but the comments are blocked. See, they have the FBI, other agencies and military, and foreign and domestic medical families, and judges' families, and prosecutors' families, and victims' advocates. They have been putting fake things in databases and then being shown they need to hide that, need to hide how they've been roles with predicate acts with facts, whole methods of them. And then they came to jobs where they had to speak about crimes. They have collusion slash S self-guide more and more with all natures of crime scenes. And that's used to keep the breaching method screened. And then in the future too, to keep those their roles with case, all sides of criminal and civil cases, conjunctions to the people involved with that. The same thing with the courts, the police forms, interbranch family members, other natures of conjunctions to them. This is a breaching method that had you guys self-value roles, replacing with black pupils, whites of eyes, with our founders declassified, for us to demonstrate about how to ourselves and allow someone to speak free speech about how a breaching method reassigned when nature communicates with black people's whites of eyes and enforced roles with it. Self-value too, per a method of employing alter roles forced with abuses of themselves and others, where how we are fact should be nature oriented, therefore physically. And then it monitored through international monitored conversations with those countries individually grouped and together too, where extorted, tortured, and fact should be nature enslaved the same way. That's what motivates people to not defend America's properly and pretend other too. Like, in other words, you guys are framing our founders for slavery. You left out what our founders declassified for us to understand about why and how it was entrenched everywhere, every colony. There were more than 13 colonies before America's founders were born. You guys left out how the databases, therefore, were criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. Hyper additionally, the fake news, to quote the president, shock and awe, too, to quote presidents, plural, because they are trying to counter what they are, though. Right through years before the World Trade Center attack, in that context and since, a bunch of people from Connecticut have roles with that. On a mass scale, they're putting fake things in databases and acting tied to it. They're putting predicate acts and whole predicate acts methods and then acting tied to it. WFSB, for example, faked conversations with me and about the World Trade Center attack, and while they were forcing a child abuser leader of kids, and while they were forcing other identity theft, fraud, slanders of me too, with people past, active, and to come. People like with the name O'Neill, they have their kids involved with whiting forensics with the Joshua Julian, and others with the intelligence agencies, and foreign and domestic military, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, all kinds of sexual, medical, overt criminal enterprises, private ones. Then they're playing little tricks. And with behavior too, behavior racketing descriptions. How could they describe behavior properly by people? Please, White House. This is get them on block posts with the Weathersfield town offices too, involved with the World Trade Center and through all other natures of organized crimes and criminal foreign influences and hyper criminal foreign influences, so to speak. Well, we're going to be able to discern the difference. For example, hyper-criminally foreign influence were totally distinct colonies owned by, on paper, by other names, but individually grouped in together. The northern colonies, the southern colonies, they were also non-distinctly hyper-criminally foreign influence. In other words, to hide behind that difference now, that's why he put those, they put games with those differences then. Differences, nature showing us its difference. It's showing us it generates all group differences as value here per its method by it and system by it with a special difference. Earth's a special difference, our own. Or our difference, our value is forced from here as forced space nature transfer. As it's a negative identity relation to itself, still as itself. Inseparable from its system we are. All exceptions the exception nature. They come with demonstration / S of the same. For example, nature shows us that some things are only natural as criminal insidiousness nature. Nature itself showed the ancients how to reveal the republic for which we stand. The campus system doesn't operate properly with, including the pantheism and the exceptions and exception nature that pantheism uses to see-throughisms, including its own, to be and to stay being led by how it is functional, being hyper invisible but still discernible distinctly from how it is invisible but still discernible, black pupils. So we have black pupils, whites of eyes. It means to discern finite details, group details, and relativity. No, simultaneous relativity, hyper simultaneous relativity, left out and replaced. They even replaced right from the communications of our founders what they communicated and about this breaching method. Black pupils, it is time. Don't disbelieve. So former directors of the FBI, plural, they've been showing the everyone fake transcripts. They showed right through administrations before the World Trade Center attack, context and since interstates, the FBI and Connecticut's families and their extended families had collusions with that. As one's increasingly involved with wire crime acts and methods of Wethersfield police, switching names, forging names, fabricating fake conversations and ties to kids and adults, and through their lifetimes, they're covering up live progressions that way. No one's looking in the databases. The names tied to databases from off those locations. They are kept collusion/S. Also with the motivation, they're using how they have roles with all these different countries. Before our founders were born, they were here and they're shared. Not one has cared properly. So please, fake news is real, but news, they don't know how, it's worse than that, but they don't know how to speak about it because the differences of guilt, the only way to do it properly is to use how everyone's guilty at the same time with the breaching method. But you have to pay attention what I caught them doing with next to each age and nature of campus, including in other words, watch what I caught them doing with the names next to the campuses. You have to get them on paper to do that. They put fake phone transcripts, fake conversations, fake transcripts at places, at police station too, Wethersfield Police. Then they had to hide live progressions, so they pretended that through the news too. News puts all kinds of fake things. They have all kinds of organized crime acts and roles. Fear God, because they have collusion with all natures of crime scenes. And that nature of people, that's why everyone's insidious natures of calmness or of aggression. And don't leave out the black people's whites of eyes. Hyperspectacle. We have these hyperscope. We have this means to discern right through. The science is abridged. The beginning of the Old Testament, for example, it says, only defend right here, where the names of the people, the sciences will come together in the part that comes before it. I've never even heard anyone speak about that part because everyone wants to have, everyone's using their own differences and other people's differences through the breaching method, using themselves and everyone else. But you guys need to get free speech and it'll be over. The whole World Trade Center attack collusions, all sides had collusions with also the hyperforeign. Stop hiding it because that's where you have guilt. Get them on paper with the Wethersfield Police. Wethersfield, Connecticut, interstates with the state corrections offices and judicial branch offices. They have whole organized crime acts and methods. You're going to observe. That came from before the World Trade Center attack. They don't even understand their motivations themselves. One of their motivations is the breaching method. That's what motivates you guys to leave out how we have black people's whites of eyes from things that is inseparable from. In many ways, is inseparable from everything because you have it replaced our founders' communications. That's hyper evidential. But why? How they had to have things declassified for themselves too. That's also hyper evidential. Black people's period.